Hello, I'm Julia from Avatar Academy. Today, I want to talk to you about something many learners struggle with, describing their job in a natural, fluent, and confident way. Not just the job title, but the routine, the responsibilities, the challenges, and how the work environment shapes your daily life. And I'll do it by walking you through my own experience, step by step, from the moment I start my day until the moment I finish. Everything is connected, everything flows, and nothing stops in the middle. So just listen and let the story unfold smoothly, because this is exactly how a B2 speaker explains their professional life with detail, clarity, and natural rhythm. I work as an operations manager in a mid-sized company that focuses on digital education. It's a job that requires a strange mix of organization, creativity, patience, and fast decision-making. People often think operations is only about schedules and numbers, but the truth is, it feels more like solving a new puzzle every single day. My role isn't static. It changes depending on what's happening around deadlines, project launches, unexpected problems, clients who suddenly change their requirements, coworkers who need support, and new ideas that appear out of nowhere and need to be evaluated before they become real projects. Every morning, before I even arrive at the office, I mentally prepare myself for the day ahead. I'm usually the kind of person who wakes up slowly, but my mind speeds up pretty quickly because I always have a list of ongoing tasks in the back of my head. As I'm getting ready, I review the previous day's notes, think about which tasks need immediate attention, and remind myself of the meetings I need to lead. I don't like rushing through the morning, so I take a few minutes to breathe and set the tone for the day. Some mornings feel calm and predictable, others feel like standing in front of a door that opens into complete chaos. But part of being in this job is learning to accept both. When I finally reach the office, the first thing I do is check our internal dashboard. It shows pending tasks, delays, new messages, and any technical issues reported overnight. This dashboard is like the heartbeat of the company. If something is wrong there, everything else becomes unstable. I usually spend 10 to 15 minutes analyzing the updates, identifying potential risks, and deciding what needs to be handled immediately. Then I open my laptop and reply to the most urgent emails. Some of them are simple questions, others are surprisingly complicated, written in a tone that suggests the writer is stressed or confused. And that's exactly where communication becomes essential. A big part of my job is to read between the lines, understand what people actually need, and respond in a way that keeps things moving smoothly. Once the morning rush settles, I begin my meetings. I meet with different teams, content creators, developers, customer support, marketing, and sometimes external partners. These meetings aren't always easy because each team has its own priorities, and not all priorities align. My responsibility is to create balance. I ask questions, clarify expectations, set deadlines, and make sure every team understands how their work affects the others. And to be honest, this is one of the most challenging parts of the job. People tend to focus only on their part of the project. They often forget that a small delay in one section can create a chain reaction across the entire system. So I've learned the importance of being patient while also being firm. A typical meeting involves reviewing progress, identifying obstacles, and agreeing on the next steps. Sometimes the problems are technical, software bugs, server issues, or integration failures. Sometimes the problems are human, miscommunication, lack of motivation, or simply someone misunderstanding a simple instruction. And sometimes the problem is me. Maybe I didn't explain the task clearly, or maybe I assumed people understood something when they didn't. Over time, I realized that leadership isn't about being right all the time. It's about being aware of your own blind spots and learning from your mistakes. After the meetings, I usually dive into more focused work. This can involve analyzing performance data, planning new projects, writing guidelines, or designing workflows that make the system faster and more efficient. This part of the day is quieter, but mentally demanding. I need to concentrate deeply because a small detail can change the way an entire project behaves. There are moments when I feel overwhelmed by the amount of information I have to manage, but I remind myself that complexity is part of the job. If it were easy, I wouldn't be in this position. Around midday, I take a short break. Not because I want to, but because I have to. When you work in operations, you can easily forget to rest, eat, or even breathe properly. The work absorbs you. But I learned the hard way that pushing yourself non-stop doesn't make you more productive. It makes you slower, stressed, and less creative. So I step outside, drink something warm, maybe walk for a few minutes, and give my mind space to reset. During these moments, I often reflect on the bigger picture, why I do this job, how it contributes to the company's mission, and what kind of professional I'm becoming through the process. The afternoon is usually the most unpredictable part of the day. Issues appear suddenly and demand immediate attention. Maybe a client is unhappy with a service. Maybe a deadline gets moved forward without warning. Maybe a team discovers a mistake that affects the entire project timeline. And that's when my real job begins. Not the routine tasks, but the crisis management. I talk to people, analyze the problem, break it down, and search for solutions. I try to stay calm even when everyone else feels nervous. I've learned that panic spreads faster than information, so remaining steady is not just helpful, it's necessary. Sometimes, solving the problem requires creativity. Other times, it requires negotiation or compromise. But one thing it always requires is clarity. People need to know exactly what went wrong, how we are going to fix it, who is responsible for each step, and when the issue will be resolved. And because operations touches every part of the company, I constantly switch between different communication styles. With developers, I speak more technically. With designers, I speak visually. With executives, I speak strategically. With clients, I speak calmly and reassuringly. And with my team, I speak honestly, because we all know that trust is the foundation of good teamwork. Toward the end of the day, I organize everything again. I update tasks, write summaries, adjust timelines, and send follow-up messages. This is the part that gives closure to the day. Even if the day was chaotic, reviewing it helps me feel more grounded. Some days, I look at my list and feel proud of what we achieved. Other days, I feel like I barely made progress. But that's the nature of real work, especially in a field where everything depends on human behavior, technology, and timing. Before I leave the office, I prepare a short outline for the next morning. I've found that ending the day with clarity makes the next day easier. It reduces stress, helps me sleep better, and gives me a sense of control, even when I know tomorrow will bring its own surprises. And as I walk out of the building, I remind myself of something important. A job is not just tasks and deadlines. It's a long process of growth, discipline, and self-discovery. You learn how to communicate, how to stay balanced, how to prioritize, and how to deal with pressure without letting it break you. And that is what it feels like to describe your job fluently at a strong B2 level. Not just listing duties, but explaining the rhythm, the challenges, the emotions, the interactions, and how your professional world shapes the person you are. It's about speaking in long, connected ideas, using natural transitions, expressing complexity without losing clarity, and making the listener feel like they're experiencing a day in your life.